Alright, what's going on, guys? Killjoysdrummer here, and it's been quite a while since I made a video. Whatever. I mean, at this point, I'm just trying to make videos whenever I can about whatever I can. Gonna start going, most definitely going to make a schedule, probably Wednesday, Saturday, and maybe Tuesday, Friday, making sure, figure something out. Fridays are kind of awkward for me because of F&M, lol. But anyway, today I actually have a deck tech for you. This is my Abzan Aggro deck. It could also be considered Abzan Megamorph, maybe. Whatever. Me personally, I just call it Abzan Aggro. I got third place with this at my local preliminary PPTQ, where I did really good. I got third seed overall, and in the semifinals, my deck was just like, nah. It just gave me some really bad hands. I had to mulligan to 5 twice. It was just bad. But it's okay. Third place there. Hopefully going to go to the SCG Open in Dallas this coming up weekend. Nothing for sure, so I'm not going to actually say anything. But we got about 9 minutes left, so we're going to go ahead and go over the deck. So first of all, this is an aggro deck, so you're going to have a lot of low-cost creatures. Now, first of all, I do have 3 Anafenza the Foremost. Although it is a legendary creature, this card is just fantastic. Having redundant copies is okay, because it's basically going to die as soon as it comes out. It's a huge threat. Puts counters, just gets on in there. And the counters you actually most of the time may just want on this card right here, if it'll load. There we go. Den Protector. Creatures with power less than Den Protector can't block it. So the more counters you have on there, the more power you're just hitting in for. And just in general, the better it is. Now, the ability that most people pay attention to on Den Protector is getting card back from your graveyard once it's turned face up. That's just beyond fantastic. Synergy with Den Protector would be Deathmist Raptor. So whenever someone's turned face up, you can put Deathmist Raptor from your graveyard onto the battlefield, just straight up, face down. So huge synergy between Deathmist and Den Protector here. And the counters between Anafenza, Synergy, and Den Protector is awesome. Next up, Fleecemane Lion, and Rakshasa Death Dealer, both two drops that really just need to be in this deck to put on the early pressure. Lion can go monstrous and just be a huge house and threat, and Rakshasa kind of does the same thing with the constant pumping and the regeneration. Definitely, available to you. Rakshasa only being $1, so I'd pick all 4. I'd pick up a playset as soon as you can. Next card, Siege Rhino. Siege Rhino is just like if you're playing Abzan, you're playing Rhino. It's just kind of the way it is. Rhino is just way too good. The life drain's just fantastic. Siege Rhino is just a great card. The trample really helps in the aggro matchups, because if I'm going to face the Atarka red decks, the mono red decks, whatever you want to call them, trample just kind of helps me get through. Obviously, a big 4/5, there's not much mono red can do to get through besides roast, but if I want to be on the aggressive, which I may want to, you can just swing with your Siege Rhino and not worry about blocks, because you're just like, okay, you want to block with your Foundry Street, take 3. So next up, we have 2 Warden of the First Tree. We don't want to be absolutely aggressive. We do have some non-creature spells that help us, not be near as aggressive, but Warden of the First Tree is just really nice against the decks. If you're on the play and you're against control, Warden of the First Tree is just basically what you want. You're against control and mono red both. You probably just want to curve out and go turn 1 Warden, turn 2 maybe Fleecemane, turn 2 probably Deathmist Raptor, turn 4 Rhino, just things like that. Lastly, we have Wingmate Rock, top of the curve. Wingmate Rock is just a house. Wingmate Rock is just a bomb, really. One of the best cards in Standard, I think. Whenever you attack with the guy, you just get a buddy. 2 big 3/4 flyers, and the life gain against any aggressive deck is just fantastic. This, paired with the next card, Sorin Solemn Visitor, just gains so much life that really no deck can come back from. I once gained, I think, 47 life in one turn with, I think I had 2 Wingmate Rocks out and a Sorin. So it was like 2 Wingmate Rocks, 2 tokens, and I think a Rhino. I don't even know. It was dumb. It was really dumb. Lots and lots of life. Sorin is just amazing. Sorin is probably the MVP card of the preliminary. I won 2 entire, matches, just straight up matches. I had 2 match wins because of Sorin, and I decided to put it in actually 2 days before the tournament, so thanks, Sorin. Alright, so those are all the creatures plus planeswalkers here. Nice package. I like it a lot. This deck is just awesome for me. I love it. It's the best version of Abzan that I've played. Alright, so we'll go over the instants and the lands. I guess the sideboard will be done. So let's get into it. The instants to Abzan Charm. Abzan Charm is just the best charm right now in Standard, and it's just so versatile. Killing a big threat that we need to get through is awesome. The card advantage is also really nice, and distributing 2 counters is actually probably the least used mode, and probably the most underrated mode of all the charms. That mode actually can do a lot, especially if you just like put 2 counters on a Den Protector and get in there. It's pretty great. 3 Jamoka's Command. I initially had a playset, but I had to find room for a 4th Death Mist once I finally found one, so I took out a command. Jamoka's Command is probably the best. It is the best command. One of the best cards in Standard right now. Jamoka's Command is just fantastic. Target player sacrifices target Courser, and target Siege Rhino kills target other things. So Jamoka's Command is just beyond great. Against the mono red decks, if for some reason you're playing a deck that still plays Outpost Siege, you can say, alright, well, I'm going to counter your Stoke the Flames and have you sack an Outpost Siege. So Jamoka's Command's awesome. Yeah. And we need a little bit more removal aside from the command and the charm. So Downfall is just there because Downfall is Downfall. The land base is pretty simple. We got 3 forests, we got 4 Llanowar Waste, 2 Mana Confluence, 3 Plains, 3 Sandstep Citadel, 1 Swamp, 1 Temple of Malady, 2 Temple of Plenty, 1 Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, and 4 Windswept Heath. Something I would like to point out, if you're going to run any if you're going to run this particular list right here, if you're going to run any tap lands, make sure that they provide green mana. I only run 6 tap lands, and they all provide green mana. Because you want to make sure you want to curve out on this double green right here. Most of the time, like if you have this, it's really, really what you want. That's literally the reason why I run 6 tap lands that provide green. That's why I don't run any Temple of Silence. Alright, so lastly, to finish out this deck tech, we're going to go over the sideboard here. We have 2 Drown in Sorrow. 2 Drown in Sorrow is just for the mono red, basically the aggressive matchup. Black-White Warriors it's against. The Atarka Red, mono red decks it's against. Drown in Sorrow is just like, the only things it kills in my deck are Rakshasa Death Dealer, Den Protector, if it doesn't have enough counters on it. Rakshasa Death Dealer I can pump up, and Warden if it's not, level 2 already. So Drowned Sorrow is just an awesome card. I probably am going to run a 3rd in the sideboard. I'm just not necessarily sure what to cut, but it'll be alright. We got 2 Duress for the control matchup, and also the mono red matchup, believe it or not. I've sided in Duress against the Atarka Red matchups to get a Stoke the Flames or an Atarka's Command out of their hand, and it works out really, really well for me. 2 Erase, Whip for the Whip matchups for the, I don't know, that's literally what it's for. Just in case if Whip does start becoming a thing again, we have Erase on our sideboard. And really anything, like, if you run into a Constellation deck, Erase is just fantastic. 1 Downfall for the extra removal that we may need against, like, the Devotion decks or maybe the Mirror Match, so Murderous Cut is the same thing as Downfall, just kind of more removal for the Devotion decks and the Mirror Match. Thoughtseize is there for the Mirror Match, the Devotion decks, the Control decks, anything that's not super aggressive. Thoughtseize is just still an amazing card. I would even main deck it, but I usually expect to run into a lot of aggressive decks where I live, because where I live is usually the meta of aggressive decks, maybe mid-range decks, because the preliminary we went to, I think there was like 1 control deck, and then the 3 mid-range kind of decks, and the rest were aggro decks. Like that's how aggro meta our town is. So that's why I have Thoughtseize in the sideboard. Last 2 cards, 2 Ultimate Price for Storm Breath, for Arbor Colossus, for the big guys like that, and lastly 2 Valorous Stance for the Mirror Match and the Devotion decks. I'm actually even considering bringing it in against mono red, because if they want to Searing Blood someone and I make him indestructible, it makes them very sad. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. And yeah, so this has been my deck tech, guys. This is my personal Abzan aggro / Megamorph deck that I had built. So I actually looked at Brad Nelson's list. I looked at a few Megamorph lists, and I was just like, I don't really like these lists. I'm just gonna mash it together and see what we get. And it turns out it's fantastic. I love this list. I highly recommend you go out and try this list. It's a lot of fun, and if you're an Abzan player, you will not regret it. Thanks for watching, guys. Still haven't figured out an outro. Figure that out later. Stuff and magic and cards. There we go. Yep, I'll see you guys next time. Later.